going through my mission statement. Am I still, is this still keeping true to my vision and my goals? So definitely keep your early sketches, keep your concept. We often, especially in healthcare, will come up with almost like a project charter or a list of criteria at the beginning of the project that we keep referring back to periodically as the process moves forward, especially when the first cost estimate comes back and we're asked to start reducing value engineering. It's good to keep going back and seeing is anything we're doing compromising any of these goals we set out for ourselves, any of these things that we wanted this building or this project to accomplish.
Something I noticed that happens a lot in my projects is don't throw any of your sketches away until the project is built and running for at least 6 months. Is a general.
Sometimes even longer.
Sometimes even longer, yes.
I'd be surprised how often things are cyclical. Everything will come back to where it once was.
Well, yeah, and I'm sure some of you probably remember today hearing advice from these folks that was very similar to something you did 2 months ago, and for different reasons decided to abandon. And so, yeah.
So every once in a while, something that you solved on this project, several months later, oh, that's the solution for this other project. It's completely unrelated, but it's the solution, and you've already figured it out.
So for practical advice for the next few months once you get back from Europe, make sure that you finish this project and start working on a portfolio. And be thinking about it while you're working on the next project that you need to be on a schedule, that you finish it so you have something to show for it. If you don't have a finished project at the end of next year, that's not good. And if this one isn't finished, that's also not good, because these are all real projects that are really good examples of the work that you can do. So coming out of school is not about the degree as much as about the work that you have done. And that will speak for you more than the certificate saying that you graduated.
We're going to spend way more time looking at your portfolio and your resume than we are your transcripts.
For sure.
We won't care if you're a counseling adult, if you're a C student, or an A student, or if you're an AAS. They just speak to some of your character, but a lot of times I want to see just your execution at the end of the day. Unfortunately, when you're out of school and you're looking for your first job, it's more about how executed you can be as a tool of the firm. Not usually signing on to a firm as the project architect when you're graduating. So there's a lot of times about execution. And finished projects are showing execution.
However, that being said, personality also counts for a lot, and sometimes somebody will want you to do a project and they've never seen you work. So, being I was never told this when I was here at Andrews, but being a really cheerful, nice person who's willing to talk to people about food and coffee, even if it's nothing to do with architecture, really, really matters. And if you're meeting people and being sociable with them, networking is great online, but it's way more important in person. And if you are interested in, some of the new urbanist sort of things, getting to know those people is what will help the most. So
Verbal presentation skills are very, very important.
Talking to people and just being there in person.
Being able to communicate your ideas, not just graphically, but also verbally, is a very powerful tool. Because oftentimes, especially early on, or when you're selling your firm to get a job, you don't have the graphics. A lot of that is, your command of a room, the way you can exude passion and interest. If you're passionate about what you're doing and talking about the jury that you're selling yourself or selling your firm to is going to pick up on that, and they are going to look very favorably towards that. A lot of times, when we've missed the job, we didn't make it, we made the short list, but we didn't get it. It always comes down to team dynamics and personality, it's so important.
What is very important, I think, is experience. I don't know if you guys have or had the chance to work in a previous firm or something like an internship program during summer. And personally, I didn't have that opportunity here in the United States, but when I was in Peru, I have plenty of those internships. So when I put that in my resume, that's a question that your reviewer, your interviewer is going to ask. What's your background, what's your experience, and if you can tell, oh yeah, I worked for 2 months, a month, this is what I did, and you showed that, that's extra points for you guys. So keep that in mind, and instead of spending the whole summer at home or something like that, sacrifice the summer, apply online, find different firms, because a lot of firms, especially the big ones, they offer a lot of different internship programs. So keep that in mind, and I think that's very important too.
And if one firm shuts the door on you and says no, ask them if they know any other firms that are accepting internship. As young students, I think it's very important for you guys to understand how fast you work and how fast you can produce the work. What I'm trying to say is, in finishing these projects and these deadlines, pace yourself and know how long a drawing is going to take. Putting together this all in the computer, and especially the printing process, it's a whole other nature in its game.
Labels.
Yeah, the labels.
Labels. How long labels take?
Yeah. Trust me, these deadlines are nothing compared to the real deadlines out in the field. So, know how to keep composure when you're under that stress, and you guys should be fine.
That's something that you should also keep in mind, not just for when you graduate, but then your first intention to the opening of this question was next year for your fourth year. It's going to be fairly intense. Probably the closest thing you have to a real life project prior to graduation, unless you'll be working with firm. And going back to this point, pace yourself. Know how long, or at least be able to ask fourth year, next year when they're fifth year. How long did it take to do something? Ask questions, ask people their advice. If you're using the same tools, which I believe fourth years are always using Revit to execute their projects. If you're not versed in Revit, there's your summer homework. Verse yourself in Revit. And start to understand how long it does take to do your things so you can pace yourself, so you don't burn out.
On the other side, when you are looking for like internships and stuff like that, not to contradict what you were saying, but I found when I was contacting them, if I was able to tell them I was a Sigma, Sigma student, I was in whatever. Anyway, when I was able to tell them, suddenly they were wanting to listen. Because before they're like, oh yeah, I know what you did before, or something like that. But if I was able to tell them that, then suddenly their ears were perking up and they were interested. Whether they had a position or not, they were interested. Just because if I was able to say that. So, I think that actually does help if you're able to. If you can't.
So everyone needs to graduate at the top of your class.
Do what you can.
Something that I found interesting was when I was in school, I learned another language without actually planning to. And I put that in my resume and I was just okay with it. And when I was in the interview, let's say my boss that time asked, so you speak Portuguese, like how well, his attention was so attracted to that specific point, yes, that he asked that, and I was like, well, at that time I used to speak very well. So I said, it's as good as my Spanish. But he was like, because I remember in the interview he was saying that, I mean, they don't have that many opportunities for young architects or junior architects and all that kind of stuff. After that, he was, oh, okay, well, I think we're going to have a second interview and I'm going to introduce you to the Vice President of Hospitality, which is Brazilian. So a vice president, which is from another country that speaks the same language that I learned in school, was about to give me a second chance. So keep that in mind. You never know, like another language could open you doors. As she said, being in a Delta Sigma, that stuff helps you a lot. So whatever you can learn in school, I guess it's extra for you guys.
It can all be gold.
Also-
Not letting architecture
your
be your
homework.
only.
If you're applying to a firm, Google them, look up their stuff,
Oh,
be
yeah.
familiar with some of their projects, you
Yeah.
know.
That was the question that I remember very vividly going into the interview once. So why did you choose our firm?
Yeah.
And
Why us?
I've seen us just turn people away because they showed up, the resume looks good, but they didn't know anything about us. They didn't know anything about HKS, and we're like, well, thanks, but you know, there's a line. Do your homework, do your homework.
And also, if you're able to put on there not just what you do in architecture, I had one interview that specifically pointed out, oh, you went on mission trips and you helped people build buildings in some other country, wherever it was. They actually capitalized on my volunteering stuff more than they did on my degree.
Or you're a painter or an artist,
Or-
you know,
Yeah,
showing
exactly.
other skills. It's,
Exactly.
we are interested in that. We do pay attention to those when the resumes start coming across our desks.
Like other language.
And study abroad was actually helped me out a lot.
So basically, take everything more seriously without taking yourself too seriously.
And always have fun. Remember, you're still in school. It's fun. It's not as much fun in the real world, so definitely enjoy it.
It's fun.
Enjoy it. It's fun.
You won't have time to
More fun.
It's way more fun now.
There's always something to learn, so the education network